India is a market with nearly a billion internet users, a deep passion for gaming, and an SEO landscape that many describe as the Wild West. While regulated markets demand caution, India often rewards speed, aggression, and tactics that many SEO wouldn't dare use elsewhere. Today, we are diving deep with a man who thrives in these competitive spaces. He is famous for his unfiltered, result-driven approach to SEO and isn't afraid to talk about the tactics that actually work. Please welcome back the one and only Craig Campbell. Craig, great to have you back. Today's topic is one I know our audience is eager to hear about. While I spent years in structured C-level companies, worldwide licensed operators, India represents a different kind of opportunity, one where the rulebook is constantly being rewritten. India's iGaming market is projected to reach about 8.6 billions in dollars for sure by 2027. Craig, when it comes to iGaming, what's the SEO landscape really like in India? Is it a structured, regulated environment, or is it the grey-head playground everyone imagines?
It's a mixture of both. Obviously the I hate saying this, but the answer depends. When it comes to different states, different types of games, and things like that, there's obviously different laws. People, and I selfishly also thought this. When you go to India, on a map, it looks like this very small country. India is a big, big place. Even in India, you know, the amount of different languages that are spoken within India is scary as well. So, there's regulation, there's stuff that's not allowed. And the same as pretty much any other country. There is an opportunity there because the guys out there love their gambling, and like anywhere else, there's always rules being bent, and that is prominent out there, as well as a lot of other countries. So yeah, it's the Wild West. Let's just say that. But I think when you look at India, um, the biggest thing for me is the language and the names that they call things as well. That's the biggest thing for someone from the West like me, trying to figure that part out, and the names that they call things. But like I say, SEO is SEO. It doesn't matter what field you play in. You're asked to do a job and you're asked to rank for certain things, but there's laws, there's different things, and stuff like that to contemplate in as well. So mixture of everything in there.
Exactly, Wild West, generally speaking. Remember that laws varies state by state in India, so do researches if you're gonna act in legal way. We're here today to talk a little bit about grey hat markets. If we talk about players in India, they start like the average revenue on the user. I mean, not revenue in the casino, but revenue in an ordinary life starts with $1,200 per year only. So revenue is gonna be small if we talk about per user revenues, but because it's billion users, you have huge opportunities to get a good amount of money on this market. And if we talk about sports and popular casino games, as far as I know, for sure, cricket is on the table. It's number one sport there in India. Also, I know about grass hockey, about volleyball, about badminton. Craig, do you have anything on the table? Do you work with any sports or casinos? Could you tell us what is the most interesting or most valuable games and sports in India?
I think you pretty much touched on the kind of top one. But India are massively into football as well. It's a growing sport over there. But mainly when it comes to iGaming and stuff like that, sportsbook is a side that it's negligible whether you go for it. There are places that slots, just terms like the slots or the term that would be used in India for that is bringing in 25% of their traffic. That is always going to be something that's going to bring in the biggest dollars. We have tried a lot of the kind of sportsbook stuff and stuff like that, but it always reverts back to the actual like blackjack and slots and things like that are the ones that bring in the most revenue. And when we operate out there, it's always about the ones that bring in the most money. And like you'll probably realize, 80% of the traffic comes from 20% of the searches. So you don't want to be spending all this time fighting to rank for games specifically that don't pay that well and things like that as well. So for me, there's I'm sure there's a lot of people that do bet on sports betting. I'm not saying there isn't. Don't ignore it. But the casino themselves are like, we're not sure if we actually, well, certainly some of the ones that I've worked with have been like, we're not sure we want to continue pushing the sports betting side. We would rather, because of this sheer amount of money that comes from various other generic terms, we would rather focus on those.
Very interesting approach. Before we dive deep into SEO, just want to let our audience know about popular channels in India. It's social networks for sure. YouTube with 500 million users, WhatsApp with also about 500 million users, Facebook 300 million users, Instagram also something about 250 million users, and ShareChat, like local TikTok, it's about 80 million users. Let us know in the comment below if you would like to get more information about India, if you would like to know what channels can be used, what marketing campaigns are effective, what sports are well known, what regulations are interesting and you need to follow. And we are coming back to SEO tactics, for sure, grey hat tactics, as we promised you in the very beginning. Craig, you're known for not holding back. In the context of India gray market, which specific black hat strategies have you seen deliver the most powerful results there?
I think, the link building is always, a big important part of SEO. And getting power and authority to websites. And what we still find working very, very well in most markets will be utilizing edge domains and things like that work very, very well. When you enter such a competitive space, you need as much leverage as you can possibly get, and utilizing something that maybe you have done work for the last 10 years and somehow gave up or retired or whatever your circumstances may be. Can we pick that up and utilize the power and authority that you built in the form of doing redirects and things like that, or building out PBNs and stuff like that? From an SEO perspective, those kind of things work well. And a lot of people say, look, but is link building not dead? And all this kind of stuff. It's never been dead. And obviously in such a competitive landscape, link building is very, very important. So you have to come up, because you're up against guys with large amounts of money who are playing every trick in the book to from an SEO perspective, to get power and authority to their website. So that would be the first tactic that that's kind of basic and standard. But you know, when it comes to the kind of dodgier side, again, when I always teach people things that you're doing in these competitive markets, you know, like you say, there's platforms out there, you know, such as Facebook and various other platforms, and it's your job to try and get people to click onto that website, and you need to be quite creative with it, you know, especially if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And you know, like I've said before, you know, you've got black hat meta ads, and you know, you need to lure them in a very generic way, and then redirect those people over to the website, because getting traffic onto these websites can be difficult when you're fighting against regulation and things that you cannot do, and that is where, like I said before, you know, from an SEO perspective, you need a lot of power and authority going to the website. So, you know, PBNs, redirects, all the, you know, age domains, all of that kind of stuff from an SEO perspective. But, you know, that's not the be all and end all. It's getting that traffic onto that website as well by, and I always say it, by hook or by crook. And that is where I don't want to say, I'm trying not to say, I don't want any governing body coming after me going, hey, you fucking dodgy bastard, and you know, but you know, you know, you've got to say something to lure the traffic in. And like you say, there's so many traffics coming from so many other platforms, you know, whether it be Reddit, whether it be anything else, you've got to get the traffic from that platform to your casino without saying come and gamble or whatever. So it's how do you do that? Is it in the form of a quiz, luring people in to do a quiz, like you say, something even as stupid as what are the top sports in India? You know, enter this quiz or put your answer in, and then it redirects them over to you know, the fucking login or a bonus page to sign up. So you know, you've got to think like that to lure people in, and you've just got to be very, very creative with it. So without compromising myself, that, you know, I always try and give examples of creative thoughts that I've done and things that I've done in that respect. So when I'm doing a presentation, I'm always just trying to tell people the laws and then try and show people a funny example of things that I may have seen happen in that niche without compromising myself. And it's always just about creative thinking. And you know, that's where guys like yourself, you know, SEO is SEO, and you know, everyone kind of can do SEO, you know, with the right training and the right guidance, but it's the creative thinking that people find really, really hard, you know. So they'll go, oh, that's that you can't do that on Facebook. Well, fuck you. You know, if there's whatever billion in this industry that's available, and you somehow need to convince people from Facebook to come over to that website and give them a nice bonus to sign up on this website, you have to say something creative to make that happen.
Exactly, can 100% agree. You should be creative, whether it's Facebook, whether it's SEO, and especially if it's SEO. By the way, you covered several topics like PBNs, age domains, link building, which are kind of we consider basic, but there are a lot of tactics like that. For our audience, don't forget to check the previous video with Craig Campbell on our channel about regulated and unregulated markets. There you will find more examples of our tactics and strategies which you can implement even today. Coming back to the topic, Craig, we are talking about redirecting traffic from Facebook or any other social networks to your SEO websites with those marketing funnels. Very interesting strategy, and it can be used almost by anyone. If we talk about starting with SEO, I know a lot of guys from India, a lot of even local webmasters watching this podcast. What is your recommendation about the budget to begin with? Because there are not many, I would say, rich people in India, so they have maybe $100 or $200 in their pocket. Is that enough to start in SEO, or would you recommend any bigger budget for that, or any specific tactics which can be used and they can reach the goal?
I mean, it's really difficult to sit there and say, get as much budget as you possibly can. But the reality is, if there's X amount of billions on the table, you're not going to get in there and compete with £200. Now, as hard as that may seem, and I fully respect that, people are not paid the same in India, and trying to get $3,000 or whatever is going to be really hard. But you are up at the top end of the game. You are up against people who've been doing this for 10 years. So can you really come in and put a dent in the market for $200? I'm sorry, but you literally can't. You'd be as well finding another niche. So I don't like to give people false expectation as such, but if you're coming in with $200, you're wasting your time, unless you somehow land a big DR80 website that has literally fallen out of fresh air and it landed in your lap, and you got it for $100 or something like that. Then you really are going to struggle. Links cost $100 a link, and if I'm and a lot of people think India is poor. The casinos are not poor. They have and are spending considerable sums of money on SEO. And if you are trying to beat someone, if I'm going toe to toe with you and you're spending $5,000 a month and I'm spending 200, you're going to win all day long. I can't compete for 200. It's as simple as that. And yes, there are other things you can do, such as, I don't know, Parasite SEO and things like that, where you can leverage the power of another platform to try and drive traffic. So if you are struggling, you're going to have to resort to tactics like that to make money, to then plow back into the SEO, if that makes sense. Because I think longer term, Parasite may or may not work in a year's time or 6 months' time or whatever it may be. So you have to leverage for the here and now as to what works. And unless you're really, really experienced, now there's certain websites out there, where we have been leveraging subdomains on trusted websites, and we can get fairly quick rankings for a period of time. But we are spending a few quid on it now. Unless you are really an advanced SEO, you could deploy tactics like that as well, but you're not going to be doing it for, if you've got 200 quid, is the bottom line, because it's just impossible.
Yeah, sure. Honest enough. So if you're lack of money, it's better to start with some Parasite SEO, with some social networks, with some forums, put in their links, maybe developing your accounts. It's not kind of SEO in general, like the big SEO, but it's first steps if you're lack of money. And for sure, you will need to invest those 200s, not only once time, but on a monthly basis at least. So be sure you have something in your pocket to begin with. And if we are talking about big SEO businesses, for example, on your side, how much do you usually invest in one website to get good results? Is it $5,000, as you mentioned, per month for one website, or Is it more? Is it less? How much do you need to invest to get first results? This is the first question. And the second is, how much time do you need to invest to get first results in India with SEO?
I mean, I would say you could do reasonably well for, I'm not going to say $5,000 a month, because I wouldn't even begin on that, but maybe 10, 15K a month. You're going to have to come in and hit it reasonably hard. But, you know, in terms of time, again, if you know how to spend the money properly, then it's not about 40 hours a week or anything like that. You know, it's buying the right deliverables. And you know, in terms of how long will it take to rank, it depends on the tactics that you deploy, you know, whether you're going to be using an age domain and things like that. You can rank within probably 6 to 8 weeks, in all honesty, if you know what you're doing. You know, using age domains and using an all-out really aggressive strategy. But whether that has long-term longevity is the other question. A lot of the kind of quicker tactics do not last for the long term. So you know, it depends on who you're working with and whether it's regulated or unregulated. Because you know, other casinos who I've worked with are like, you know, we're trying to build a brand here. And you know, we've been around for 20 years. We can't just have you fucking burning everything to death and getting us all fucking cancelled. So it also depends who you're working with as well and what their goals and objectives are. But like I say, you know, even now, even out with India, you know, even in America, there's just certain tactics at the moment where you can get results within weeks. You know, weeks, which is pretty scary, to say the least. But you know, there are sometimes tactics you need to deploy to get cash in that you can then put into a whiter hat website, if that makes sense. And that is kind of the long-term goal. But I would always say to people, you know, give yourself months if you're doing it properly. You know, there is no quick push button fix. Yes, you've got Parasite, and you know, you can rank within days, you know, with a Parasite and stuff like that. But you know, realistically on a website, you know, I always try and give people the expectation, if you're going to enter the iGaming space, yes, you can argue that you could rank a local service-based business a lot quicker, but it all comes down to the level of competition and how hard the keywords you're going after as well, and how much money's on the table. Are you entering this to just make a couple of grand a month? Sure, you can go after long-tail keywords and rank reasonably well and make a few quid doing that as well. But you know, if you want to compete at the top, it's going to be months and months and months.
Sure thing. So if you have money, if you have time, you can go for general keywords for the biggest piece of this pie. But maybe you use also other tactics like hunting for low keywords, trying to find new niches, new audiences. For example, as we mentioned, it varies from state to state. If we talk about languages, if we talk about preferences in sports, gaming, and so on, if we talk about regulations, it varies. So maybe you can share some examples of best states or best games or best sports or best bunch of keywords from your latest experience. What works for you the best right now?
The best ones would have been, I used to go after, I'm trying to think of the cricket was always the top sport, just by default, in terms of how often those guys played it. Now, what we used to find is if I went to Ahrefs and looked at the website, even just as a very quick win, because you'll understand this, and a lot of people who work in casino, when you've got a very specific game that's been played by two teams, and that's on the sportsbook, people are actually Googling that game specific to gamble. Now, obviously, when that game finishes and there's another game on, obviously that's taken off of the sportsbook, and you're like, fuck me, why take that down? Because that keyword just brings in a lot of fucking traffic anyway, because and there's going to be another time where we play that game again. So, you know, games specifically worked very, very well. And I think that goes for most sports as well. You know, even when it comes to the football or soccer, as the Americans call it, you know, football and game specific, you know, such and such versus such and such would bring in decent amounts of traffic. But like I say, it really depends on what you want to go after in terms of games. You know, like even blackjack, roulette, you know, poker, you know, even things like play poker for real money is search terms that get a lot of search, and people are like, well, what do you mean by real money? Obviously, there's a lot of people who play for fake money, and stuff like that as well. So terms like that work very, very well, but it's also, you know, like I say, game specific as well can work very, very well. You know, there's lots of different games out there that you know, I could sit there and try and rhyme them all off, like, you know, slots like Hit It Rich and all of these kind of things are you know, fairly popular. Teen Patty, you know, just games like that are very, very well searched. So there's no one or two where I can go, right, these work, and that's the ones you have to focus on. The fucking sheer volume over there is, you know, the list is endless, and it's up to you to say to the casino, well, which of these actually pay you the most money? Which of these make profit for you? Because obviously, even within a casino, uh, or someone who operates a casino, you're getting different levels of payouts for different things as well. So focus on the ones that actually make you the decent money, because that is the key. Because budgets are always going to be limited, and I'd rather spend money on the ones that work very well. But you know, when I entered the casino space in India the last time around, I was working with a brand new fucking brand, and budget was limited, and that is the kind of things that I had to go after to get traffic, because they would have put more money in once I showed them that you know, there was money to be made. So I can't just go after online casino or blackjack or slots. You know, so what happens is we can just very quickly see when you put a website up there and Google start to crawl it, just certain things will rank better than others, and you're like, oh fuck, you know, that is you know, has 100,000 searches a month, so I'm going to go after that because it's relatively easy as well. So there's a bit of that goes on as well, because the job there was to prove that the concept works with that particular casino that I last worked with, and I was really starting at the bottom end of the scale. I didn't have a lot of power, a lot of authority. I wasn't even really given a lot of guidance either. They were just like, we need to make money and we're going to spend X and we need a return of investment. And, you know, that is quite a difficult situation to find yourself in. And like I say, it was literally a spray and pray approach for as far as I was concerned. I was just looking to sit there and show them that we could make money to be able to get to the next level. So I had to build up from the ground up, and I did work on the sportsbook, believe it or not, as a primary focus, because I knew I would be wasting my time for a lot of the blackjack and various other games, you know. So between the sportsbook and the games specifically, and I don't mean blackjack, I mean, you know, slot games and things like that, those are ones that I had to go after, because the games specifically, again, are relatively popular. You know, if you're a regular gambler, you are going to Google that game, and that's it. So, you know, there's things like that where you can go after.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing. That's a good piece of advice to go after particular games, particular sport events. For example, you can check it on our channel. A year ago, we had several series, several podcasts about Euro 2024. We've been discussing it also with SEO specialists, and what they shared is that they create those websites or even pages on their websites for a particular games during the Euro. So the similar tactics for sure works here in India. You just need to be flexible to create those pages, and for sure you will get traffic there, because not everyone, as far as I see, using these tactics still. Everyone is trying to hunt for online casinos or online betting or whatever general keywords, and much less people hunt for good low keywords, and there is probably a gold for you. So, Craig, if we are talking about aggressive sales strategies in India, it's quite interesting, but traffic is useless if it doesn't convert, right?
Yeah.
What kind of on-the-ground support or promotions from operator really moves the needle for an affiliate in this market? Is it crucial to support these online activities with some on-the-ground activities if we talk about operators, casinos, or betting operators, in your experience?
Absolutely. You know, anything that you can do to help gauge interest, and, like you say, get people to convert is important. And you know, if you don't do that, and I don't even think it just relates to casino. You know, there's anything in life when it comes to online. Why should someone use you and your website to convert, and not the next guy's website? You know, so, you know, trying to get conversions, you've got a very small window. And, you know, I'm a big fan of trying and testing different things, you know, in CRO, or conversion rate optimization, and trying different tactics to get people to click, are really, really important. I'm not talking about luring people in with a color of a button. You know, I think that is pretty shit, you know, tactics. But, you know, what is going to make you click on mines and not the next guy's website? You know, whether that be an offer or something, you've got to lure people in, and you've got to be very, again, creative with it, and you've got to go toe to toe with the competition. You know, and you've always just got to look at the best performing websites. The answer is there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. What are the top performers doing to do that kind of thing? And you know, it's all good and well saying, oh, I looked at Ahrefs and they rank for online casino and this, that, and the next thing. Yeah, that's one side of it. But what are they doing to convert? What are they doing that you're not doing? What are they offering that you're not offering? You know, you know, the answers are literally on those top websites as to what is being done. And, you know, people will go to extreme lengths. There's departments for that type of thing, you know, and there's people out there who've spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions and millions of pounds on conversion rate optimization, trying and testing different layouts, different offers, different this, different that, and the it's obviously the ones that are there for the here and now are the ones that are clearly working. And I would always do my research into who's performing well for the keywords that I want to go after, and what are they doing in addition to SEO to get those people to convert. Because like I say, you've got a very short window. Someone can look at your website and, you know, especially when it comes to affiliate and stuff like that, I'm going to be honest, and I include myself in this when I've done affiliate, the website looked like shit. It really did. You know, it wasn't clear. It wasn't in your face. And I think, you know, you need to get the balance between a page that ranks well and a page that converts well. So where are these things positioned on the page? And that is very, very difficult, because when the user lands on it, it's got to be in their face. It's got to be super easy. It's got to be super quick. They're not going to scroll down to find your fucking shitty offer. You know, they're just not. If it doesn't bang them in the face and entice them straight away, they're off. So that is where you need to get the balance between SEO and user experience and everything else into play. And I think that can only, you could argue back and forth, mine's is better than yours, Vasilii, yours is shit, you know, mine's converts better, I get this, that, and the next thing. Do some fucking A/B testing on that shit and really see if you can get, like, your conversion rate might be, I don't know, 7%, right? Who's to say that can't be 13 by changing the layout or changing the offer, or, you know, whatever it may be. And that is the golden thing that we all want to know. What do we put on there to make those conversions higher? And it's not always just about bonus either. It's got to be, the user has got to see it, quickly like it, and you've got to say the right things on there to get that person to, you know, convert. And it may even be get an extra X, Y, and Z if you bet in the Indian Premier League or on your first bet, whatever it may be. It might be something as stupid as that. But yeah, it's trial and error.
Exactly. For sure, you should do A/B testing, not only with your website, not only with your UX, UI, and not only with your SEO strategies, but with offers. Yeah, because one guy's there, newbies, they offer something, and other guys can suggest you something more. For example, a perfect case study of this is how OneWin approaches the Indian Premier League. Cricket is just isn't just a sport in India, as we mentioned before. It's a cultural phenomenon, and simply offering odds isn't enough, for sure, if we talk about biggest IPL events. So what they do a creative, massive, event-driven promotion that affiliates can leverage directly. For example, during IPL session, they've launched a huge leaderboard, competitions with prizes in rupees, in cars, in latest iPhones, like an additional motivation to put bets on this event. And that really works. If you provide an additional value, it attracts more attention, it increases your conversion rate for sure. So when you're choosing a partner, keep it in mind. Try to choose those who provides additional values. For example, like OneWin, their SEO affiliates, especially in India, they rely on a variety of sources like websites, cricket betting blogs, mobile landing pages, WhatsApp newsletters, YouTube channels. And OneWin officially partners and support these sources by providing SEO landing page templates, widgets, banners, and detailed analytics to optimize campaigns. That means that coming back to the previous topic and discussing particular events, in some cases, you don't even need to create your landing pages from scratch about events or SEO templates. You can ask your partner to do that and look for that. This is a big market and there are a lot of opportunities. So if we talk about Indian market, coming back to the main topic about risks, about balance, as we mentioned, it's kind of a little bit gray head in one state, it's a white hat in other states. And if we talk about tactics, for sure it's gonna be long-term or short-term, as we discussed, different level of effectiveness for those tactics. Where is the balance, up to your opinion? Where is the balance between those gray hat and black and white hat tactics, if it's there?
Where is the balance? That's a really good question. I mean, it depends who you're working with. You know, it really does, and what you're doing. You know, if I'm an affiliate, I am going to push harder. If I'm a casino, the balance is going to have to be tipped a lot. I'm not saying in favor of white hat as such, but you're going to take a longer term approach and a longer term strategy to it. As an affiliate, I really don't give a shit. It's all about rankings as far as I'm concerned. You know, where's the money at, and you know, everything else. So it depends who you work with, and like you say, you know, you work with someone like One, and you know, they can tell you what works, what doesn't, you know, to give you a fucking template basically to go and work with. Now the balance, if you're being honest, everything that you do as an SEO is going to be seen as grey or black hat. You know, even building link, it depends who you're talking to. Even building links is seen as black hat. You know, it's the most ridiculous thing. But you know, I think that the you know, the balance is always going to have to be tipped in favor of black or grey hat. In all honesty, just with regulation and the different problems you have in a country like India, you know, where you know is iGaming legal or illegal in different states and all this kind of stuff. You know, they don't really, no country really wants to allow people to just freely gamble. You know, they're trying to compress that at the best of times anyway. But I think, you know, in all honesty, as an SEO, you're always going to be fighting against the elements, and you're always going to have to fight against the competition, and that means that you're going to have to resort to grey or black hat tactics. You're going to have to cheat somehow, just by nature of the industry. So for me, as an affiliate, I would probably say I don't want to ever go out and get a website banned, but I would probably say it's always going to be at least 70% grey or black hat. And, you know, I'm trying to bring that as close to 50-50 as I possibly can, but I'd be lying. I'd be lying to say I can do 50% white hat SEO. There's no fucking way that you can do that. There's no way you're doing it, you know, that way. I need to do as much as you're doing to beat you. So that is where you know, it's, I never ever want to enter anything, even if I was playing a game of chess. If I know you're cheating, I'm going to have to try and out cheat you, because if you're legally cheating, then I can sit there and play fair and get my ass beat all day long. It's the same in SEO, if that makes sense. You're like, nah, I have to fucking cheat somehow. I have to get leverage somehow. And there's no way Vasilei's going away with all the money, because if this motherfucker's doing this, that, and the next thing, then I also have to resort to that, because it's, at the end of the day, it's a money-making exercise. And like I say, I've always been a black hat SEO. I don't want to do anything that's going to get me thrown in jail. But I want to push the boundaries, and I would probably say 70-ish, maybe 80% is grey or black hat in this space. And that's just because it's this space. You know, I don't have to resort to that in many other niches, if that makes sense. You know, if I'm doing a plumber, I can probably do 5% of what I would do in the casino space, but to beat the other guys, they're all cheating, they're all fucking up to no good, and they're all buying up this, that, and the next thing. So you have to resort to it. It's either sink or swim.
Exactly. You can call it cheating. You can call it be a little bit more creative than your competitors. Coming back to the beginning of our podcast. So to finish it up, let's talk about latest trends about AI. For example, as far as we know, Google updates are coming from the US, tier 1 countries, and then they spread to tier 3 countries. So if we talk about AI written text, for example, I know it's low value in general for tier 1 countries, but maybe for tier 3 like India, it's okay. So I would like your comment here. And maybe some latest SEO trends in India, what you see is on the table right now.
So to answer the first part first, you know, I think you're spot on when you say like AI content doesn't necessarily work for the long term in tier 1 countries. I do firmly believe that the other countries out there have a less aggressive algorithm and they're much further behind. So you can get away with a hell of a lot more. You know, and I also think if the massive amount of people in India are using AI content, then you've not got much to compete against. So even just some minor tweaks to AI content can really set you apart from the competition. So, you know, if everyone else is doing it, and listen, we all love doing it. We'd all love to just turn out thousands of pages a day using AI. And what I've found, even in tier 1 countries, is that can stick for months and then it gets slapped after probably month 4 or month 5 through my own testing. In India, you can actually get a lot longer if getting caught at all. And not just India, you know, the same goes for a lot of these other lower tier countries. The algorithm is like doing SEO from 10 years ago in a lot of respects, which is beggars belief at times. But that is what you're up against. And again, you know, when you're doing SEO, try and test that stuff. You know, even just put out a website and hammer it with one of the you know, mass page websites, and you probably see that it will do reasonably well in the short term anyway, you know, in these countries. So don't be scared by what is happening in tier 1 countries is my advice, because, you know, even in Europe, what happens in the US and the UK and what happens in the Italian SERP or the Polish SERP or whatever is sometimes you're just like, I can't believe that still works. So, you know, and I think India and a lot of Southeast Asia and everything else all fall into that category. And so, yeah, I think AI content can work reasonably well. And you know, again, it comes down to the competition. How much of what are those guys doing? And I think, you know, the best answer to all of that is try to use AI, but make some human edits, because again, I think one day when the Google updates and even in a lot of those lower tier countries, you're going to get clapped. So even just try and follow the rules of a tier 1 country, but maybe not as aggressive or as in depth. But if you can set yourself apart from the competition and not just use pure AI, then I think you'll be doing a good job. And the second, what was the second part of that question again?
Second was about SEO trends in India. Do you see any for the upcoming year, for the upcoming years? Maybe what differs it from the rest of the world, from the whole world, from other markets? Up to your opinion.
I'm trying to think of something here that in India that it would be different from anywhere else. I think in terms of SEO trends, at the moment, the main one at the moment that I see working, and it's not just in India, again, it's all over Southeast Asia, is subdomains on edge domains seem to be ranking really quickly and really well. Don't ask me why that's the case, because a subdomain is seen as a separate website from the root domain name. But for whatever reason, they're working really well. And I don't know if I said it on the last session, but we are actively going around trying to buy old e-commerce websites and stuff like that. Now, the reason for that is we believe that if you're going to use edge domains, you want to try and have the trust signals that an e-com store and everything else would have. The history, all the kind of EAT signals and everything else. That for me is a big, big thing that works really well. That a lot of casinos and even previous casinos, if you're using edge domains, they don't have those signals in place. They didn't bother their backside to build out the brand. They didn't bother to get those EAT or EEAT signals. And we find that is a trend that's working really, really well just now, if you can utilize a domain that ticks the trust signals, if you like, from a Google perspective. And we feel that gives you a bit of leverage and a bit of an upper hand. But like I say, a lot of the stuff that works in these countries is like SEO from 2016, 2017. So you need to try and put yourself back. If you're a Westerner, go back and try tactics that you may think no longer work. Go read an SEO book or watch some webinars or podcasts from back then. What is the guys who are winning in the tier 1 countries saying back then, and try and test those tactics, because what did work that no longer worked may still work in India, and that is the hard thing to get your head around, is deploying those tactics. But like I say, I always revert back to SEO is always going to be obviously on page and technical and UX and all of that are super important, but link building is always a big part of it, and I don't think that's ever changed over the years. So that part of it is something that's super important. But like you also say, you want to start feeding into AI and things like that, because even if I was to Google right now best things to bet on or whatever in India, or the best sports to bet on, it's going to pop up with an AI overview or a featured snippet or something, and obviously it's your job to try and implement that as well into your strategy and feed the LLMs with your casino, your brand, your give it the right answers to take those positions as well. Because although you may not get a direct click from that, if your name and your brand, like one win, why does everyone know who One Win are? Because they've spent so much fucking money building that brand. They do crazy things. I've worked with One Win in the past, and they were like, Craig, can you come to our stand? It was at IGB in Amsterdam. Can you come to our stand? We're giving away, or they had this robotic dog on the stand at the conference, and they're just trying to stand out from the crowd all the time. So they had a kind of American rapper type guy, an influencer he was, I can't remember his name. He was on the stand. They're always trying to upstage the competition, because if you look at, I don't know, Pinup Partners or anyone else who had a stand there, they all done something. And they were all giving away iPads. They were all giving away this, that, and the next thing. and it is building that brand and becoming memorable is what a lot of these guys are doing. And I think even when it comes to AI, you have to keep seeing the one win or whatever your brand is constantly, because although you might not get the click, people will be going, I need to go to fucking one win. If that name keeps getting thrown about and it's sinking in my fucking head, then it's one win. And you know, even, you know, their stands and everything look like a spaceship. You know, they spend money on that. So that is the kind of psychology that you need to try and deploy into your SEO, and whether it be in the AI overview, whether it be, you know, utilizing other websites, you just constantly want to see your brand out there. And I think now in 2025, you know, before people used to just crap out, you know, website after website after website, and brand never mattered. I think, you know, branded search is a big trust signal for Google as well. So I think you've always got to try and build that side of things up as well, because if not, then I think you are really going to struggle with the kind of trust signals. It's very easy for Google to go, oh, here's another online casino, India.com or some shit like that. I mean, it doesn't even sound like a brand, you know. Does it get branded search? You know, what? So I think, you know, branded search is something that I think is a strategy as far as I'm concerned. Whether it's tier one, whether it's, you know, India, I think branded search plays a big part in Google's trust and stuff like that. And that's something I would be absolutely trying to implement overall for any website that I was going after.
Exactly. Thank you for such a massive advice in the end of this podcast. From my point of view, I can only confirm all what you just said. To put something on the top, Indian market is growing. As we mentioned in the very beginning, it's gonna be $8.6 billion by 2027. And it's going to be even bigger. So do your homework, do your researches in advance, whether it's sports, whether it's iGaming like casinos or whatever. Do your homework, prepare your pages in advance, do your researches, look for not only for the general keywords, but also for low keywords. Do a Parasite SEO or social SEO if you're a beginner. By the way, Instagram officially allowed us to index Instagram pages. They have this option right now in every business account, so check for it and stay tuned. Craig, this was a masterclass in real-world SEO for one of the most exciting markets on the planet. The message is clear: be aggressive, manage the risk, and above all, localize. Thanks for sharing such valuable insights. For everyone watching, to get more of Craig's direct approach, find him at craigcampbellseo.com and follow him on LinkedIn. The links are in the description below. Thank you for watching. Give us a like, subscribe to our channel to get more and more useful content like this video. And give us a comment. What is the best SEO strategy for India? Up to your opinion. What works for you in the comments below. We will be there to continue the discussion. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.